I jinxed it. I always fucking do. As soon as I got into my vehicle after my talk with Lucifer, I got an emergency ping over the network. The network is like a more advanced police channel. The FIA prison just had a major breach. I called up the squad and they were already heading to the site. I drove as fast as I could. The lights obviously showed that I was special ops, but sometimes police like to pull me over to be funny. Thankfully, they didn't this time. Actually, in fact, I drove with them to the site. When I got there, the team was already arming themselves with weapons and gear. I geared up as well and went over the situation. The breach didn't show immediately. Somehow, whoever it was managed to sneak by the millions of sensors the prison has at every angle. I immediately went back to the computer at the abandoned facility. This had to be that plan. We didn't know if the person was still in the building. The alarm was only set off because a guard managed to catch a glimpse at the person on his 15 and set off the alarms. We entered the facility, weapons drawn and with safety off. The idea was to try and identify each prisoner and get them to a new location. Thankfully, at this point, there weren't that many prisoners here. Around 20 if I recall correctly. As we cleared sections one by one, things became clearer by the minute. Whoever broke in wasn't trying to break anybody out. And if that's the case, then why would they break in? My team had cleared the first half of the prisoners. Everyone was shaken, but unharmed. They cooperated easily, which made things much easier. When we would hear of the second half, none of us were prepared for what had transpired. When everything was all clear, the prison finally exited lockdown. There were 2 fatalities, however. 2 prisoners in particular. George and Faith. Why those 2 in particular, I don't know yet. But they were the only fatalities. When we tried to get surveillance evidence, we found that whenever the person was in the camera's peripherals, the camera would glitch out and the footage became unusable. I went to the crime scene to gather evidence, and one thing stuck out to me like a sore thumb. The killing method wasn't the typical gun or melee weapon. Whatever the person used, it seemed to leave behind a strange residue. I collected some to use as evidence and some as samples. I feel like I know what this stuff is. I just need time to fully test it. The way the bodies were also left made it seem like the person was in a weird mix of being in a hurry and having a lot of patience. Looking at the bodies, I knew Faith was first. Her corpse had progressed further post-mortem than George's. I also made sure to take note of the position they were found in. They knew that they were going to die and maybe just didn't have enough time to react to it. Right away, I could tell that Alex didn't do this. For one, why would he kill his own team? And for 2, why would he do this on top of breaking into the prison to begin with? The guard must have seen the person as they were making their way out, or to George. I need time to get the sample back to the lab and run tests on it. I wasn't planning on something like this happening today, but considering everything else that's happened, I should have at least seen it coming. Well, I have a lot of evidence to look through and tests to run. I'll update again when I make any breakthroughs.